Hello, everybody, and welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time on this YouTube channel, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Femi Michaels, aka Celebrity Teacher. All right, so on this channel, what do you find? You find videos, content that has to do with academics. You find some comic contents also, contents that makes you laugh, okay, that makes you excited while you are learning. All right, so since the concept is to teach people every single thing that life needs and the things, especially academic contents that they need, then I'm here today. And this video, the purpose or the aim of it is to talk about one of the non-African poems that are to be read by African students who are planning to write one of the African exams like UTME, waec, jamb, NECO, and so on and so forth. All right, so I believe that if you are still watching this video by this point in time, it means you are here for this particular poem, as you must have seen on the description. So the poem I'm be treating is Caged Bird, The Caged Bird by Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou used to be my very good friend. You know, I've been teaching and taking classes for over 10 years now. And this is equivalent to almost 50,000 hours. So for you to know that if you're going to be on this page and you're going to be a family member for life, I need you to subscribe to this page right now on this YouTube channel. Subscribe to it and turn on the notification so that once I post any video, immediately I post any video, you'll be notified. There are so many poems, so many prose works, and so many plays to be read for this exam that I mentioned. That is UTME, waec, NECO, GCE, and so on and so forth. So if you're ready, I'm ready for you, and I'm going to be launching into the poem Caged Bird by Maya Angelou. If you have not subscribed, subscribe while this break is going on. I'll be back after this short break. All right, welcome back from that short break. Yes, the poem we're to treat this period or in this video is the poem Caged Bird by Maya Angelou. Can I be honest with you? You cannot just jump into analyzing any work of art without understanding that you need to do three things first. The first thing is that you need to understand the title of that work of art that you're about to read. It helps you to understand the content or the work of art very deeply. For instance, if the title of a poem is Caged Bird, by logic, this tells us that what? A bird is in a cage. So there's an imagery that has been created there that that bird cannot be having fun, that that bird cannot have freedom, and that that bird cannot say in every verity that it has the ability to achieve all that it wants to achieve. And this is what Maya Angelou wants us to see. The danger, the evil of man's inhumanity to man. What did I say? The danger or the evil of man's inhumanity to what? Man. So having known the title, that the title is The Caged Bird, now what is the caged bird? What symbol does it represent? The caged bird represents or refers to African Americans, those blacks that were in America around the 1940s at the time where there was slavery, where there was racial discrimination, subjugation, and subjection. You see, at this point in time, Maya Angelou, being a black American, has come to realize that there has to be someone who will be the voice, yes, the voice of the blacks, to making sure that these blacks get a very standard life at the end of the day. Because she's educated, she decided to put her thoughts, her grievances, her pain into writing. Okay, and of course, the best way to communicate this is through poem. Don't forget that William Wordsworth defined poetry as the spontaneous overflow of emotions recaptured in tranquility. I said, let me take that again, that William Wordsworth, if you don't know who William Wordsworth is, you need to Google, you need to do a research on him. It's my very good friend. He was one of the greatest writers of his time, right? My time too, right? I just have to come out so that I can be explaining the story to you. Because many of you were not born then. So, you know, I can't be proud and go to the grave like that. Yeah, just so that you can have something to understand. It's not like maybe I'm carrying shoulder or I'm proud. No, I'm not proud. I'm just trying to let you know that William Wordsworth defined poetry as the spontaneous overflow of emotions, spontaneous, immediate, quick overflow of emotions recaptured in quietness or tranquility. Do you get that? So when Maya Angelou is in a quiet mood, when she's not in her element, she reflects on the kind of life that her people are living, and she tries to let the man who has put the blacks in that condition, that is the white man, to understand the wickedness, the evil of their inhumanity to another what? Man. So she has titled the poem, The Caged What? Bird. Now, another thing you need to note when you want to read any poem, any play, any prose, so that you will understand into details, another thing you need to put in mind is what we call the background of the author. Some of you have textbooks. In that textbook, they put the background of the author or the life of the author. Some of you just jump it. You don't even understand why that part is important or why it is needed. It is because, you cannot separate the life of the writer from their content. It will reflect. It's like a judge who is trying to judge a rape case, and the judge has been raped before. No matter how much you try to convince that judge, the judge will put in all efficacy, all temerity, all sagacity, all tenacity to making sure that that case was dissected to the best of our ability. So if somebody is now writing on caged bird, it means that that person has been a part of that community where this servitude, this slavery, this wickedness have been meted on her people, or most likely her also. So if you don't know anything about the life of the writer, you cannot claim to have a close or personal relationship with the content of the work of art. So the second point there is that you need to understand something about the life of the author. The textbooks that you have did not just put those details there for joke. You need to memorize it before you get to the exam hall. Now, another detail, which is the last one, that will help you to understand any work of art is the diction. Now, take note that diction does not just talk about the choice of words. Hello? Diction, the definition of diction is the language in which that work of art has been written, coupled with the choice of words in that particular language. If you just say it is the language or the choice of words, no, it's not really comprehensive. Because if I'm writing in French, for instance, there are simple words in French that I can use to communicate what I'm trying to say. But if I decide to use I-sounding words in French, then I can say that the diction of the word or the work of art is French, and it's the difficult to understand for the average reader choice of words. So it is both the language and the choice of what? Words. Are we together? Are you sure we're still together? Yes. Okay. So what's my name once again? I need you to comment my name in the comment section once you are done. That is how I know that you were truly into this video and you watched the video to the very end. All right. So did you understand what I just said? Awesome. So now that that is the content, you understand that the title is very important. You understand also that the life or the background of the author is very fundamental, and much more sacrosanct is the diction, which I told you is a language, and in that particular language, the choice of words that has been used to communicate what the writer wants to what? Communicate. Praise the Lord. Amen. All right, now let's go to the poem proper. There's nothing much to talk about on the poem other than the emotion that it holds. The poem is titled Cage Bird. So already we know that a bird is in a cage, but the writer did not just focus on one type of bird. In fact, the writer creates a foil. A foil is any character that has been created to behave in opposite. I did not say to behave against or to try to attack. That one is antagonist. But a foil behaves in opposite behavior to that particular word, to the character that the story centers around. So if, for instance, you have two sisters, one likes to go to the club and one likes to go to the church, you eventually get to see that if the focus is on the life of that one that likes to go to club, you will see this other character that likes to go to church. She'll be very calm. She'll be trying to convince. A character is the opposite of this one, not against. She'll be trying to convince this other one to live a wayward life and to come to Christ and to start going to church. Do you understand what I'm driving at? So in that case, this one that goes to church is the foil of this one that goes to what? Club. Their behaviors are opposite, but they are not fighting to kill each other. Their characters are what, is just contrasting to the other. Do you get that? So Maya Angelou creates a foil using the white man, the slave master, the colonialist as the foil, calling it the free bird. Its behavior is opposite. It is free to fly. Imagine a bird that is free. It can fly around the world. It can go, the sky is so wide, it can explore, it can move from tree to tree, eating fruits, testing fruits, trying to enjoy life. In fact, it can reach the highest heights, become whatever it wants to become. But on the other hand, the caged bird is right there in the cage. We're told that the space that that bird has is very, very limited, very small space. And that small space, it restricts its mentality. It restricts its way of life. It restricts its freedom. It shrinks his thinking. In fact, I strongly believe that the cage is not a physical cage, but a mental cage. If you have been a slave all your life and your father, maybe you were born into slavery, your father tells you that, you see, we are not equal to those people. Learn your place, know your place. It sticks into your mentality and it becomes a cage that covers or encloses you. Even when you have the time to, the freedom to move about, you are naturally in the okay space. You are okay because you don't know how to do anything all your life, right? So in the poem, we are told that the caged bird uh, is in a cage, very small, and they describe that cage as a bar of rage, the bars of rage. So the bird just keeps going back and forth in the cage. The space, the room is not big enough. And then at a point when frustration comes in, the only thing the bird can do is to open its mouth to sing. And when the bird is singing, it is singing with a fearful trill. If you have the poem with you, you can be going through it. You understand that these are the details from the poem. It said that but the caged bird opens its mouth to sing. It sings with a fearful trill, but still it sings. Yes, it sings of things unknown. Did you get that? The things unknown that that bird is singing of is that it is singing of freedom. It does not know freedom. It has never known freedom. In fact, probably the mother gave birth to that bird in that cage. So all its life, it has never stepped out of the cage. If it needs to feed, the owner of the cage will have to just open and pour some grains and all. It cannot even bend down to use the mouth to eat. It is whatever the mouth picks from, the pouring. That's what it will feed on because the room in that cage is so small. Now, to not make matters worse, we are told that the wings of this cage bird, they are clipped. Terrible. Even if you eventually free the bird, it will not fly away. That's a very sad thing, a terrible thing, because it is an issue. It is a war with the mind, a war with the brain, a war with the psychology. So, having read the second stanza that talks about the caged bird, the poet goes back to the free bird again and talks about this free bird, how it flies and opens its eyes to look at the worms on the ground, how the worms are looking very, very interesting to it, and it can fly to them and eat them. That is why they said the early bird catches the what? The worms. So the worms are those things that make the bird grow nourished and all. But this other bird is in a cage. It can look outside the cage and only see other birds flying. It craves that freedom, but the freedom is not given. So you will come to realize that this particular poem talks about the pain of slavery.